Hey, I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing the Shackleton series escape room game from Escape Mail. Before I dive into this more, first of all, prototype, all these things, rules, components, and all that stuff subject to change, but also, just as importantly, this particular box looks very waterlogged because it's not a feature of the game, although it is nicely thematic and worn and all that stuff, or rather just the box it arrived in may have gotten a little waterlogged outside. Anyways, the Shackleton series. The Shackleton series is an escape room game. The idea being this gives you an 8 to 12 hour adventure. I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. This, like I said already, is a prototype, and it's from Escape Mail. They do a variety of other, escape room style products or whatnot. And the general idea is you're going to have, I believe it is 6 episodes in this box. Each episode taking between 1 to 2 hours. I only have access to the first episode in the prototype that I have, so I'm basically 1/6 of the way through the game. But each one gives you an isolated kind of grouping of facts and information that you all have to put together to give you the outcome, at which point you go to the next episode, and onwards and so forth until you go through it. The idea being that it takes up 8 to 12 hours of time and gives you a fun experience for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They say 1 to 4 players. That sounds about right. I find many escape room games often say like 1 to 6, which I think is usually a mistake. Usually I find these games are best with 2 or 3 players, although every game can vary. But in the Shackleton series, and by the way I should note there will be no spoilers here, you will see the contents of the first envelope, but there's no spoilers here. I think you're pretty safe as far as not having anything ruined for you at all. But yeah, let's talk about the experience a bit without spoilers, which is always tricky because how do I really talk about the details? And we'll get into it. So the basic idea, like I said already, it's an escape room game. It's going to give you a series of pieces of information, disparate piece of information that you're trying to put together with a specific arc of how you're trying to get certain words out of that adventure, and those words that can be plugged in. There is an app to verify your answers, but you also, if you've done everything correctly, you'll probably know, at least based on my own experience with this, but there is an app to go through. There's an app that'll give you a bit of a messaging and a story, and speaking of the story, this is the story. I only partially know the story because, frankly, I'm not as invested in the story, but there's the Shackleton, which might be a story of a person or a series. There's a boat. There is a boat going on over here. The boat is the where's the name of the boat? The Endurance. The Endurance has gone on a mission, on a journey. There's a series of journal sheets that are nicely divided between story journal sheets and puzzle journey sheets, meaning it tells you on the top which of these you're taking into account for the sake of the puzzle and which of these are just flavor text, which I appreciate personally because it means I'm not wasting time agonizing over the sentence structure and the syntax and trying to find capitalized letters and alternated first words, whatever it is. These I can safely ignore. They're just part of the story. I really appreciate that they did that because I think for escape room games, for them to not be a tedious chore, you want to kind of know where to focus your attention as opposed to having to second guess and read into every single thing they've put in front of you. And so to that end, appreciate that offhand. We'll be given the story, this adventure, these characters, this whole story of the expedition, and again, Chapter 1 has an arc and an ending, which I won't get into for the sake of lack of spoilers, and I haven't experienced chapters 2 through 6. If you've experienced games like this, and I think if you've played the Unlock series, the Exit series, those are more straightforward and linear in the way they approach escape room games. I think this is more akin to if you've played Mother of Frankenstein by Arcane Wonders, or if you've played The Emerald Flame by, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of the company, but the Emerald Flame, they do a bunch of these types of games. But I think if you've played games like that, where there's a bit more open-endedness to the information you're being given and how you have to put things together, that's going to be more akin to that as far as how this operates. So if you are looking for a linear escape room game where there's a clear sequence of how to do things, that's not the case. This is much more open-ended. Now, one thing they do include with the game is this idea of a flow card. This flow card, what it does for you is, in the game, you have a variety of pieces of information. Okay, you have a bunch of stuff. So, for example, most of the things on the table are stuff you have. You have this map that's two-sided. You have this opening book, which gives you a bunch of things. You have this patch, this telegram, this double-sided little list of information, these puzzle sheets, and a bunch of other things as well that aren't even on the table because I can't show you everything because some things I've marked up already. And you're kind of just left to figure it out to a certain extent. There is, again, a drop of, hey, you're trying to find certain words. That's the kind of thing. You're trying to walk away from this puzzle with a bunch of 5-letter words. That's pretty much given to you in the intro guide of the Quick Start Guide. You have this whole Read Me First Quick Start Guide. It tells you what the desired output is. So, for example, you're trying to solve the mysteries over here. You're trying to get these various, words over there. And these words are obviously fake. You can ignore those. Those aren't real. But the idea being that you know that that's the desired output. Past that, you aren't given enough information without this flow card. So you can, as a player of this game, what you can do is you can try to approach it and try to see how different pieces all fit together in different ways. And I've played other escape room games where I'm able to do that. I referenced The Emerald Flame, I referenced Mother of Frankenstein. Those were games where I was able to kind of put together those pieces of information in ways that gave me, you know, hey, you have like 7 pieces of information, but A goes with B and F goes with G, and these things all nicely tie up to start producing end results. For the Shackleton series, again, I've only played episode 1, I started by trying to avoid this card entirely. I could not do it. Now, to be fair, the way they put the wording in it, they actually have the wording over here. They have a situation. They say somewhere they have optional flow card. Okay, they say, let's see. For those who prefer the guidance, a select few puzzle-solving experts will be able to solve each episode without a flow card. So even that sentence, a select few puzzle-solving experts will be able to solve each episode without a flow card, makes me think that they know that the flow card is almost required information. I think that if you do want to try this out with the flow card, and you do it, you will feel very accomplished with yourself, and you should. For me, I needed the flow card. And again, what the flow card does is it kind of tells you, I'm just going to make stuff up, so ignore what I'm saying over here, but it tells you, oh, this, and this all go together, and these 3 together will produce one of your 5-letter words. That's the kind of idea of the flow card. So it doesn't give you answers, it just tells you which things are clumped together to produce an output. And again, I don't love that. I don't like hints in escape room games. It takes away from my feeling accomplishment. But in this case, I felt I needed it. Past that, the individual puzzles, and again, reviewing these things is always tricky. How do you convey a review without being able to tell you all the details? I would say that when I look at an escape room game, I kind of look at what's the sense of accomplishment I have as a player versus the sense of frustration I have as a player, as well as thematically, am I invested or not? And so I'll start off with the thematic aspect. Thematically, I'm not invested in what's happening here. I don't know if it's the way they told the story or not. I don't know what aspects there are. There are pieces of information you can put together. I just wasn't invested in the story, at least not yet. Keep in mind, again, there's 6 episodes in theory, there's more information, but story-wise, I wasn't pulled in. Some escape room games have pulled me in, some not. It's case by case, and story-wise, it's not against it, I just didn't feel any pull into the world that was being built around me. As far as the mechanics of it, I felt that there was a good mix of feeling of accomplishment with also points where I did go ahead and use the app for hints and felt frustrated by the experience, which I think almost every escape room game I've played has had some of that. Almost every escape room game I've played has had a degree of me turning towards some sense of the app or something towards trying to find those hints because it is otherwise a bit of a frustrating experience when you're just looking at a bunch of things together and you're like, I don't understand what's going on here. I'd say that breaking the first puzzle down into the 6 puzzles there are in the first puzzle, because there's effectively the 5 words you're trying to gather. And again, this is all spoiler free, this is just in the basic how you approach this. There are 5 words you're trying to gather, and then there's a follow-up of what you're trying to get out of that. I'd say that from those 6 puzzles in episode 1, and again, 6 might sound like too small, there's 6 arcs of a puzzle. There's different ways. Each puzzle is a multiple things being put together, so it's not like, I would say that first puzzle, it says 1 to 2 hours. I'd say it probably was in the 90-minute range to go through it, but I think that 4 of those puzzles I felt very rewarded and accomplished by the way I approached them and did them. 4 of them I didn't use any hints. I was able to dive into it. I was able to put A and B together, figure things out, and not only did I feel accomplished, but I felt it was challenging. I felt there was a real oh, look at how cleverly they put this together. I appreciated what was being built and done around me through this escape room game. Versus 2 of those puzzles, I felt that I had the right piece of information given to me and I still wasn't able to do it. Meaning it's not purely, I guess the way I'd say it is, many people, I'm sure, will be able to do all 6 puzzles without relying on the hints. Many people will. For me, 2 puzzles specifically I felt were not, even once I got the answer, I didn't feel a sense of, oh, I should have gotten that. I felt like I don't know, I guess I could have gotten that, I guess, sure, whatever. So 2 of those puzzles were not as satisfying to me. Again, I use the hints, I powered through, it is what it is. Whenever I'm too stuck, I personally find that I don't want to get too frustrated with any escape room game I'm playing. Games are meant to be fun, I want to have fun. And so as soon as I'm getting to that point where it's starting to feel frustrating, I usually go straight to an app or hint. As much as I don't want to use those things, I also want to have fun at the table. And so I did dive into those things. And I will say one of the nice things they did, and I appreciate when escape rooms do this, is they don't go, here's the answer, you idiot. I mean, hopefully no escape room game does that. Rather, they have hint 1, hint 2, hint 3, and show the answer. So they do try to guide you towards information so you can still feel a sense of accomplishment. Like, sure, I didn't like immediately get it, but I only used 1 or 2 hints. And again, for those 2 puzzles, twice I used hints. One I used hints the whole way through because I understood what they were going for and I still couldn't get it. And that's happened to me with other escape room games. Sometimes I understand what you're trying to get me to do, but I still can't do that thing. And that's when I feel frustrated by the thing. An example would be, just to give you a random example, not relevant to this game at all, relevant to another escape room I played way back once upon a time, where they kind of expected me to just know how musical notes operated in a way that you kind of needed to know another background. I was like, I just don't have that, so this is just not fun. And that's not what happened here. It's more just that I understand what you're going for. I didn't get it, and then in the other escape, and the other one I used hints for, I used 1 or 2 hints and then was able to gather it, and again, I got it, but I don't know if I felt as rewarded. So overall, I've only really experienced 1 of these 6 episodes for the Shackleton series. I would say that if you are looking for escape room style games, if you like games, like I said already, like Mother of Frankenstein, like The Emerald Flame, if you like games that give you that kind of open-ended story of an adventure of an escape room game that isn't just a linear arc the way the Unlock series or the Exit game series is, if you like that, I think the Shackleton series does give you that nicely. I overall felt rewarded enough by the puzzle that was being presented. I overall felt that sense of accomplishment and being able to tie things together in ways that I was happy with. I'm happy with how it played out. I was like, yay, look at me, I'm clever and all fun and whatever. And that's the feeling. I think that's why we play puzzle games. We want that sense of solving a puzzle. And for the most part, I did feel that sense of solving a puzzle. At the same time, it definitely did have its moments of frustration where I gave up, I turned to the app, and didn't even necessarily feel as rewarded by like, oh, I should have. Like when I turn to hints in these escape room style games, sometimes I get the hint and I'm like, I should have gotten that. I got, that's on me. That's on me. Okay, fine. I got the hint because I don't want to be frustrated, but that's on me. I didn't have that the 2 times I didn't get the puzzle in this case. And that, again, it still might reflect on me, but nonetheless, that's just my feedback around the experience. So, overall, 1/6 of the way through the game, so not a full review by any means, any means or whatever it is, but I would say that I enjoy the Shackleton series. It is not my favorite escape room that I've played, but I certainly think it is going to give you a plenty of puzzly solving time if you're looking for that 8 to 12 hours. And again, if there's 6 episodes, if they each come in at that 90 minutes, that is going to be in that 9 hours range or so, which I think is reasonable. So I think if you like this style of game, it's worth checking out. For me, rating wise, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. Definitely enjoyed many elements of it, also felt frustrated at points, and ultimately it's going to come down to the final game and what ratio of satisfaction versus frustration, which is what would determine where I finally end up on the game. As far as other game recommendations, I've mentioned it multiple times, but if you like this style of game, I highly recommend checking out Mother of Frankenstein by Arcane Wonders and The Emerald Flame by the other company whose name I'm blanking on, by The Emerald Flame, I'm blanking out. Either way, someone will have it in the comments down below. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.